Oh, this is Rivka with Ahavas Chenem, and I hope you guys have had a chance to visit and view my husband's teaching on last week's parsha. And I was trying to think of something maybe just quite different in terms of my role in terms of teaching. And I do want to do some teaching for Orthodox Messianic Jewish women. Um, and so if you have any suggestions, please email us at info@ahavaschanim.com. And I would greatly appreciate that. But I thought for this particular video, I know a lot of observant Messianic families, not whether you're Jewish or not, and you're on the path, have challenges in giving, but this is more towards the Jewish side of things, I guess, have a challenge in giving their children a proper Jewish education. Our children got kicked out of a Hebrew school because we're believers in Yeshua. And I have also heard of other families who have experienced that. And so I wanted to help others who maybe are just having kids and they don't want to send, they would like to send their kids to Jewish school, but they can't because for obvious reasons, and they don't want to send them to Reform Conservative because they're not going to get a proper education that way in Judaism because they're more Orthodox oriented. So I just wanted to provide some resources that might be helpful for a Orthodox Jewish homeschool education. And that's my little baby. So the first thing, I'll kind of go through kind of my morning routine in terms of my, okay, honey, what I do with my children on a daily basis. This is my baby. So
is this much okay?
Yes. I start with, it's going to be backwards because we're on the camera. A Jewish Living. It's actually a Chabad book, A Jewish Living, a Handbook for Life. And it's really beautiful. I'm not Chabad, obviously. But it has, and what I use this book for is just basic teaching. So it'd be good for a child 3 and up. My children, my oldest is learning Hebrew, and so she can read some of them. Yes, Yaakov.
Okay.
And just wanted to it gives the basics of Judaism. It's also good for older children as well. She's so cute. So it goes through some of the basic prayers. It does not have it's not a sitter. It doesn't go through the Amidah, for example, but it does cover brachas. It covers Jewish holidays, even the fast days and so forth. It covers major historic rabbis throughout history, Jewish history in general, concepts said. Go ahead, Yaakov. What? So it goes through those type of things. So that's a really good resource. It costs, at least at our Judaica store, about $30. Totally worth it though. And it's just a great foundation, again, starting at age 3, but it could probably be used up to age like, I don't know, 8 or 9, in terms of their knowledge. Goes through clothing and a lot of other Jewish, modesty and tzedakah and a lot of concepts like that. So that's what we use in the morning, and we go through our prayers in the morning. And they consist of my children know Modeh Ani, so we go through Modeh Ani and Natilas Yadayim, and then the blessings for the Torah. And then you get the fun Torah song, and then you have the Harani, and then I have the Shema and Be'ahavta, and then I go through a couple other additional prayers, and we might read a chapter about Mashiach, or a chapter on tzedakah, or whatever Jewish concepts I'm wanting to cover. Or if a holiday's coming up, we read about the holiday. It gives a very good overview of that. So that's what I do in terms of prayer. And your kids don't have to know how to read Hebrew. They learn by hearing as well. So even if your children are so young, 3 years old, and my 1-year-old loves the songs. So, you do a melody with the prayers, and that gets her excited. My 1-year-old, who you just saw. So that's what I do for that. In terms of Jewish, not Jew, learning Aleph base, I did this with my daughter, and this may or may not work for everybody. It's called Step by Step. This is just an example. This is actually volume 2, but it comes in 2 volumes. It's about $20 for both volumes. And it's literally just letter recognition, and it's really great for preschool / kindergarten. So anywhere between, depending on the maturity level of your child. I started mine at like 3.5, my girl. Maybe boys a little bit older. So you could try it. If it doesn't work, wait a few months, whatever. There's a lot of coloring, cutting out. Like my son is terrible at cutting things out right now, so I'm not really starting with him. But because of his sister, he's already learning Aleph base, and the songs, and just really fun. Learning the difference, Veit and Bait, and also similar looking letters. Really great. My daughter had a lot of fun with it. May not work for everybody, but highly recommend that. And then so there's 2 volumes of that go through all the Aleph base. And then the second volume, which my daughter's still working on, again by the same person, Step by Step, by S.C. Wolf. It's readiness worksheets. And so this is actually reading, obviously the consonants, but also with Nikudim. Now I have noticed that my daughter, I had to pause this once we got to a certain point. We got to 3-syllable Hebrew words and things like that. And we had, we've learned a bunch of Nikudim, and I've actually paused about halfway through this book because she needed some additional practice. And so Chabad online does provide some really great worksheets in terms of reading practice. So just to give you kind of an example of that. So it's just reading, and they have all the Nikudim. So this one's just for comments, but then there's other ones. So if you're interested, I can provide that link to those things. So that's what we do in terms of Hebrew reading. This is just Jewish stuff, so I'm not going to cover like the science and English and whatever. If you want to know that, you can you can email me if you want to know what I do for secular studies. So that's for davening and basic Jewish concepts and Hebrew reading. And then in terms of some other things, Parsha and whatnot, I wanted to show you this. This is I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it. I call it Sefer HaMitzvahs. I can shoot you guys a link. I'll put a link down below for it. I'll give you an example from just this week and what it covers. It's pretty much, so if you do, as an adult, you do the Chabad.org daily study. I'm not going to call it a curriculum, but system of study where you're studying Chumash, the Aliyah, you're studying Anya Yoma, and Rambam, Tehillim, and Tanya, and Hayom Yom. So this is a children's version, and it's very compact and very, even my son, even when he was 2, really enjoyed it, at least the coloring aspect. So like yesterday, it has these different, has the Aliyah in picture form. My children already colored this one. Then it goes over, like the mitzvah for the day, which Rambam covers, which obviously can be very complicated, but as a child's version, it simplifies it a lot, which also helps me because some of the, a lot of the details, if you're, as a mom, you don't have time to study the actual Mishnah Torah and all the details involved. You get kind of the boiled down version when you're homeschooling your kids. So this is a great resource. Tehillim, it just kind of has a pasuk from the Tehillim and a concept from that. So you're not reading all the, because obviously young kids don't have a great attention span. And, it has the other aspects of Chabad daily study. And as a Messianic Orthodox, family, you can edit it. So like this kind of slants towards, doesn't say the Rebbe in Chabad is Mashiach, but they kind of suggest it. We don't believe that, obviously. So I give high regard to him. But I tell my kids he's not Mashiach because he's not. It doesn't, it hints. So I'm not sure who designed this particular thing, but it's an email you get every day. And you print them out, and on Shabbos, because you can't color and things like that, they're in color. So you print them out on Friday, and then you can continue with the program And it's forever. So whenever there's no end date to it. So, and you can always go back to previous emails and get, and I try to do it every day, but sometimes I don't get to it. And another thing I do is h.com. If you just Google h.com or h and Parsha coloring pages, I also found this really helpful because my children were having trouble because we asked questions to them on Friday night and they weren't able to answer the questions because some of the parshas are very complicated. So I'll just show you this as an example. So like this week's parsha is Shabbos, and it has picture of them in Egypt. So usually it's 4 to 6 different coloring pages of different parts of the parsha, and sometimes I have to fill them in because I'm not going to have every detail. So this kind of skips over the killing of the Egyptian and things like that. So you can you might have to fill blanks in if you want to cover more detail for older children. But that's really, I found that really great for them, and they really, because they're associating it with a picture. And my daughter takes all of the 4 or 5 pages on Friday night and tells us the story by showing the coloring because it jogs her memory. And then she's able to get more candy when she answers questions. So that's that. In terms of the Messianic aspect of having a, in terms of educating your kids in terms of Yeshua as an Orthodox Jewish rabbi. Obviously, you can't go to Christian sources. You're gonna get a very different Yeshua than you probably want to teach your kids about. Though I'm not trying to endorse all of this organization's stuff, I will say that I highly recommend their children's stuff. The FFOZ Kids Tales of Messiah. And you can see here just on this cover, it pictures him as an Orthodox Jew with pictures of Yeshua with tefillin and some beautiful, well-written stories and engaging for kids. And this is anywhere from 3 and up. And I feel like you can tailor it to younger audiences and older children. So that's what we use in terms of educating. And this is great because there's 52 stories. So you can match it with a yearly Torah. So you can, each week you can have a new Yeshua story. And my kids absolutely love this and they love the pictures. And, that's pretty much one of the only resources I found that shows Yeshua as an Orthodox Jew. So I really appreciate FFOZ doing this and producing it. So there you have a very, very quick run through of kind of what I do in terms of homeschooling, in terms of a Jewish education, and I'm looking into more resources as my kids get older. So hopefully this was helpful, and I will leave it at that.